I was like nervous, man. I made it. It was as if I thought the second I hit it, people were just going to call me. And so I very nervously like published it and then just kind of like, and nothing happened. Of course, nothing happened. Nobody knows who I am, like nothing. I went years telling people, go for it. You can do it. Start your own business. Man, after doing this for several years and learning what I know now, what I didn't know then, if I tell anybody anything, it's like, hey, if you aspire to do this as a job and you want to do well at it, go work for another home inspection company.
Welcome, Matt. Thank you taking the time to educate our viewers. For those that may not know you yet, can you please introduce yourself? What line of business are you in?
Sure.
And how long have you been doing it?
Sure. So, my name is Matt Braiding. I am a certified master home inspector and the owner and lead inspector at Texas Edge Home Inspections, which is my company. I started back in 2017. And so yeah, I'm located in the Houston area, and we do general home inspections mostly for people that are purchasing a home. Sometimes we do them for the current owner of the home, and various other types of inspections. We're working for people when they're buying a home, whether it's new or an existing home, and they don't know anything about it, and they want to know more about the house, what's in it, how old are the components, how are they working, is there anything failing, is it safe, things like that. That's what we do.
I see. So you started the business almost 10 years ago?
Yeah, almost 10 years ago. So getting really close to being 10 years. I was working by myself for much of that time. And I think it's been 2 years ago now that I brought on my first other inspector. And now I got another guy now that's been with me 1 year. So I got two guys. One's got 2 years under me, and then one's got 1 year almost exactly. And so all three of us are out there in the field.
Nice. Can you tell us what inspired you in the first place to become a home inspector? Why not plumbing Texas Edge? Why did you decide to be a home inspector?
um, to be honest with you, I was stuck in a dead end job. I had been working for a company for, at the time, over 20 years, and I had worked myself into management. It was great for a long time. It was a completely unrelated job. Um, Unrelated to home inspection or construction at all. And I also could see that my future with the company was very limited. And like I say, I made really good money, but I felt like there was just so much more I had to offer. And then the economy crashed back in 2008.
Yep.
And they took away commission, and so I wanted to just do something else, something that would give me that feeling of accomplishment, something that I could be proud of. And I kind of always wanted to own my own business. And somebody that was in real estate actually looked at me and said, have you ever thought about being a home inspector? And I said, no. I wasn't in construction and I wasn't in anything real estate related, but that doesn't mean I didn't know anything about homes. I'm the guy that you call when something's broken, like that was kind of the way it was for me. I've just been friends with and been around a lot of tradesmen and just learned I needed something else. And she said, hey, I think you'd be good at this. And so I looked into it. In Texas, you have to be licensed. So I had to I didn't, at the time that you brought it up, I didn't even know what it was. And so I started looking into it and kind of figuring out what it was. And I was like, okay, yeah, this sounds pretty interesting. There's a school nearby that was a real estate school that offered classes to get you certified so that you could take the exams and ultimately apply to the state and get a license. So I started that whole process, and immediately whenever I started doing it, I was like, yeah, this is really going to be something I really enjoy. And I thought it was just going to be like a side gig, but it wasn't too long that I figured I'm not the type of guy that does anything halfway.
Yeah.
And so the second I started kind of getting into it and I started doing the numbers, I was like, okay, once I pay for school and once I buy my tools and once I do the marketing and once I have software, like it's going to take me X number of inspections just to pay for that. And so I immediately realized, like, you're going to have to go at this a little harder than you thought to get it anywhere that's profitable. And then it wasn't too long that I realized, like, okay, this could be profitable. I just need to kind of figure out how to get it there. And
Yeah.
and so I worked for that other company while I built my other company, and then finally got out of that one and went full time into home inspection. That was the long version of this story.
I'm glad actually you mentioned licensing. I want to take you back a little bit.
Yeah.
You said in Texas you have to be licensed to become
Yep.
a home inspector.
Correct.
Um, in many states, you don't need anything actually. You don't even need a license. Can you explain, like, what is the process? How long do you have to study? Do you have to
Sure.
take exams? Just give us a little bit more details.
Sure. Yeah. In Texas, they've actually lowered it a little bit since I started, which is crazy because they need to raise it. But it was close to 200 hours of certified training. So a lot of times people will be like, "I'm a certified home inspector." Mostly when people say they're certified, that doesn't have anything to do with state licensing. That's usually somebody that is certified through a home inspection association in another state that doesn't require licensing. If they don't require licensing, the only way anybody's going to take you seriously most of the time, I mean, you in those unregulated states, you can just say you're a home inspector,
Yeah.
get EBA, and go inspect homes. Zero training. You could do that. No one's there to stop you. You're not going to be very successful, and you're not going to get a whole lot of repeat business. And it's going to be hard for realtors to take you seriously and new construction builders to even let you in the door if you don't have some type of certification or some type of accreditation, right? And so there are companies, there are associations that do offer certifications, and people do that. They go that route. So you might hear them say, "I'm a certified home inspector." But
Hmm.
in Texas and many other ones, they do require licensing. So we still have to take certified training. And unless you have previous home inspection or construction experience, it's still close to 200 hours. It's less than what it was whenever I did it, but it's close to 200 hours of specific classes.
Okay.
And once you get through that and everything that goes along with that, then they set you up to be able to take the exam. Okay.
Hmm.
So we have to take in Texas, we have to take a state exam and a national home inspector's exam. State
Okay.
exam's pretty easy. It's about 50 questions. The national one is pretty tough. It's about 200 questions. A lot of code related stuff. Pretty hefty test. It's got about a 50 something percent failure rate. So a lot of people, you can retake it if you don't pass. I passed it on my first time, by the way. That's my first time. But but I mean, I studied hard for it. I studied hard
Yeah.
through the training and everything. But and then once you've done that, you can apply to the state. Now, what that requires is they do a background check, so you got to do some fingerprints. Like we're going in people's houses when they're not there
Okay.
sometimes, and so the state wants to have some control over who is allowed to do that, and so I'm all on board for that. So yeah, background checks. You have to have insurance. We're required to have insurance by the state, but we're required to have insurance before we can get our license. They will not
Yeah.
issue us a license. I'm insured. My company is insured, but I had to insure myself before I could get my license. And then afterwards, I changed it over to the company. But so yeah, that's pretty much the process right there in
Okay.
Texas.
As far as the time frame, is it like 1 month, 2 months, 3 months? What would
Now,
you say if I'm starting today and I want to be a home inspector? How long it will take me to get licensed?
it kind of takes. It depends on the amount of time on your hands. It took me about a year,
A year.
but that was because I was also working a full time job, and I'm also a father. I was then, I still am,
Okay.
but for the most part, most of it you can do at home, like at your computer. But I took a fair amount of classes in person because that's what I preferred to do, and then proctored exams and stuff after those classes. Each class and each bracket, kind of as you go along, you have to take small little exams within them to kind of get through and pass each little section. Um, but yeah, it just really depends on how fast you can absorb the material and how fast you can move. I mean, I know people that have done it in a matter of about 5 or 6 months, but that's really buckling down. I
Okay.
mean, like you really got to get after it to get that done. And then after you get the training done, it's really just a matter of the state at that point. They're not really fast about anything. So, once you apply to the state, you're kind of at their mercy. I feel like that takes about 30 days in itself.
Yeah. Did you have to find a sponsoring company that you need to work for first?
No, At least in Texas, it's not required. I'm not even saying that it shouldn't be. I think so. A lot of people think, they need to be an apprentice.
Hmm.
You don't. You don't have
Okay.
to be an apprentice. In Texas, you actually can apply for this license after getting trained with all the certified classes. You don't have to have previous construction experience. You don't have to work for another company. If you get, there's two brackets of licensing. There's a real estate inspection license, and then there's a professional license. Basically, the real estate inspection license means you have to work for another firm, another company. You can't work for yourself, and that you can only do residential.
Hmm.
The professional license allows me to own my own company and do also commercial. I don't do commercial, but I am licensed so that I could. Um, but for me, this was like a side job, and so it was going to take more training, and it was a little bit more expensive, more time. But I wasn't going to do a side gig and work for somebody else. I will say this though, I'm not necessarily sure that was a great idea. It worked out for me, but I don't recommend that to anybody.
Hmm.
I don't think it's a very wise move, especially because there's an awful lot of people that think I'm going to be an inspector because it's easy. And I can just get in there and get these reports done, and you get paid. Like they just, I don't know, whatever they're doing, they think they can do that, and I think it's easy. First of all, it's not easy. Like I've been on my feet all day long. It's hot. I'm in Texas. It's already hot. It's in the upper 80s, and I did two phase construction inspections today, so it's all outside. And I mean, like, look, it's gonna get hotter, but right now it's actually pretty hot in the sun, and I've been out on my feet all day knocking this
Yeah.
stuff out, and that's how it is every day. I mean, granted, sometimes I get partial moments of time where I'm inside in the AC, but I'm on the roof, I'm in the attic, I'm up and down ladders, I'm crawling around. It's
Yeah.
a physical job. It is hard, and so anybody that thinks it's easy is just wrong. Number one.
Yeah.
And then I think, like, I don't know, people think, well, I'm just going to work for myself and just, that way I can just make my own hours and stuff. And it's like, yeah, sure. But you still work for somebody. We work for the people that hire us. You have to figure out if you're not available when they want you, you don't get the work. So, like, if you want to make it work, especially in the beginning, you really got to put yourself out there and maybe work the hours that you don't want to work, and what I'm actually the biggest reason why I tell people why I don't advise them to do what I did. And I see it's enticing. They're like, I want to own my own company. That's what I wanted to. And it worked out really good. And my skill set and my mind frame was of such that I was able to be successful at it. Granted, I wish I could go back to my first couple of years and do every single one of those inspections again. But I mean, with that being said, I got through it. I learned a lot, and but there's a fair amount of liability on us, and I think I took that for granted at the time. I got lucky. um, I'm certain that I missed a lot. I mean, I was very knowledgeable and I had been trained, but it's not like having experience. I've done thousands of inspections now. My inspection reports look totally different than they did 8 years ago.
Of course. Yeah.
Um, and so when I go approach a job now, I mean, I know I'm doing it. It's hard to even say this, but probably 100% more thorough than I was whenever I started. But I will say this though, I was confident back then, and I even to this day, on my worst day, I will bring it better than most people would on their best day. And so I may have not been as good as I am now, but I guarantee that what I put out was valuable. But I know this. If you're going to go into this business with no support system, like no, not working for somebody, just working for yourself, you're putting yourself out there for a ton of liability. I'm lucky I got through it. Luckily, I had made a few friends really early on, people that I could really rely on to help me. And then I had my mind that kind of helped me get through it because I had the mind for the job. But if I could go back in time and tell myself something, it would be like, don't do that, man. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
regret it. I don't regret it. but it was uh, risky. It was very risky.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
so there's tons of home inspection companies like mine where we hire people, and it's like you can come on and I'll pay for your tools, I'll pay for your software, I will give you additional training and support, and you won't be in the field just doing these jobs without having the knowledge you need to get them done, and then the support system to help you out whenever you get stumped. You're not going to get the phone to ring unless you market your business. And
yeah,
if you work for another company, you don't have to do that. You
yeah.
can get to
Actually,
work right away.
yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. You get your license, you start a company, you set up LLC, whatever the business structure
Yeah.
is. Can you tell us at the beginning, you open your doors, but you need customers. You have to sell your product to somebody. How did you start get customers? What worked for you and what didn't?
Yeah, yeah, sure. It's funny, like I did have a couple of friends and family members that were in real estate, and I was lucky enough that they put some trust in me early on. And I think that I'm not going to take away from the fact that that helped set me up and molded me to be a little bit successful. I'm not gonna lie, that helped. I remember like getting licensed and everything was set up. I had my DBA, I had my company. I was like, what now? And it was like back when like Facebook was
Yeah.
big. I was like, I'm gonna start a Facebook page. And I was like nervous, man. I made it. I had the profile picture, I had the description, I had all that, and it's like all I had to do was get hit like publish or whatever. And I remember thinking it was as if I thought the second I hit it, people were just gonna call me. And so I very nervously like published it and then just kind of like and nothing happened. Of course nothing happened. Like nobody knows who I am, like and even the people that know me, like they're like, "What? Like he's doing what?" Like even if they were buying a house, they're probably. I mean, my first job was actually one of my really good friends. He put his trust in me. He thought, "Man, I know this guy. I know his mind. I know he's relentless at making sure he's going to do a good job." And I mean, I cut him a killer deal. He knew it was my first job. Your friends will come through for you, but it's like man, I hit that publish button or whatever it was on Facebook and thought that was just going to be like the moment all of a sudden my phone was just going to start ringing, and it did not happen. And so so what I did, I think naturally for my business, the best way to start trying to get the phone to ring is to get with realtors. I knew
Okay.
a couple, but a couple isn't enough. Not to make any
Yeah.
substantial, because like for me, like most of the time, like I said, I work for buyers, right? Well, realtors, they represent buyers and sellers, and so they have to, number one, be representing a buyer, which is at best like 50% of the time, not even that, because they do sellers too. And so and then they basically, most of the time, they kind of throw your name in a hat, like so to speak. They will tell their buyers, hey, here are three inspectors that we've used before that we recommend, if you want to give them a call. And that way that takes the liability off of them, and they can say, well, I did recommend you, and either they pick me or they don't. That's what happens usually. I've got realtors I've been working with for years now, and I don't know what they do, but like there's not much, like I'm sure that they give them other options, but I mean they're doing something like, we have inspectors we use, but this is the one that we usually use, something. Because I mean, there's a few realtors that like it's like a sure shot. Somehow their
Yeah.
clients are going to pick me. Somehow they are putting in that recommendation with some strength behind it, something. But that took years to achieve. But the best way is to get realtors, right? Because we got to get a lot of realtors that are representing a lot of buyers, and that gives you a lot of chances to potentially get a job,
Yeah.
right? Like you need a lot, right?
Yeah.
And so I started. Social media was always a thing pretty early on, where I would at least try to follow real estate agents and connect with them that way. Buddy of mine encouraged me to start making videos, and I did that. later. But actually, the first thing I did was I started to try to visit real estate offices, and I would show up by breakfast or whatever, and they would let me talk for like 5 or 10 minutes to introduce myself and my company. And it was crazy because I was brand new, and they all of a sudden would bombard me with questions that I didn't know the answers to, and I would have to like figure it out. Like somehow I still have realtors from the first one I did that still use
Wow.
me today. I don't know how that worked out. I guess it's like that whole fake it till you make it. I don't know. I said some things during that. I will. Here's a trick. Here's a trick. I think I've got some marketing advice for people that I think is kind of a little bit crossover. It's not necessarily just for home inspection. Like I think if you think outside the box, you can probably make it work. Um, but one thing I remember saying in that meeting was I told everybody there, and when you go to a real estate office to do like one of their meetings, like most of the agents that are in there are new. Because all the ones with experience, they're out there working. They don't care. They don't want to go to the office for some stupid meeting and hear some guy talk, and they don't want to do that. But I told these people, if you have a situation come up that's home inspection related and you got a question, call me. You got my card now. I don't care if I'm on the deal or not. Like it doesn't have to be an inspection I did. If some other guy did an inspection and you have a question about it or whether or not it's accurate or something, maybe it's your seller's inspection. I don't know.
Yeah.
Call me. And they did it. And that I think was one of the things that helped me establish like a really good deep rooted relationship with some of these new agents right off the bat because they felt like they had somebody. I didn't tell them that I'd only been at it for a few months. I mean, I wasn't going to say that.
Yeah.
So they felt like they had somebody in their corner, and they utilized that. And I answered their questions, and we developed relationships that way. And I think anybody can use that, right? If you're in another trade, HVAC, whoever you're marketing to, tell them, hey, call me for free advice. Call me, and because people love it when you give them something free.
Yeah. Networking was probably the number one for you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Can you tell us like how many inspections can you do a day?
Like full on home inspections is two. I know some people that can pull off three. And I don't know. I don't move fast enough for that. I guess.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't want to. Most of my inspections are between 2.5 to 5 hours, depending on the size of the house.
Wow.
And so, so there's some situations where I'll only do one a day. And actually, that's what I try to do these days with my guys in the field. But today I did two. But depending on the type of inspection and the size of the house, we're there for an average of 3 to 4 hours on
Okay.
average. And so,
Okay.
yeah, two a day.
Okay. And what about pricing? I know a lot of people struggle at the beginning with how to price their inspection. What did you do? Did you look at the other inspection companies? How did you figure it out?
Yeah, so I know early on, because that is kind of a struggle. And they even talked about that in our training. Rates change. Uh, it's hard because like you want to be competitive, but like you're new. And so I think I may have copied exactly what somebody else in my area was doing.
Okay.
Not many, like I don't have my prices posted, but somebody did. Somebody in my area, I kind of did a little bit of research on some websites and stuff, and I found somebody with a price sheet that I thought was pretty good. I might have changed them a little bit because I might have like lowered them a little bit because I feel like one of the only things you can do to really get business in the beginning is to be the best price guy in town because people will make their decision based on that. I think it's a dumb way to choose a home inspector, but people are very price motivated, and so to get your foot in the door, sometimes it's hard for me to say that that's a good idea now because I get mad when people knock my head off and undercut me.
Yeah.
They get the job, but I mean, like, I feel like it's what you do. That's what I did. I don't think I did it like I was one of the lowest you could get, but it wasn't like I was doing them for next to nothing. I think my lowest price at the time was 350. Now it's 475. Of course, inflation's happened a lot since then, right? But I think $350 was the cheapest I would do an inspection at a time, and it seemed to fit. It seemed to be enough for me at the time. I basically just stole that from somebody else.
I see.
I might have made some small adjustments. You got to
And
figure out what your area is doing, and then price accordingly from there.
of
You know.
course, yeah. There are probably thousands of home inspectors around, so you have to
Yeah.
compete with them in a way. But tell us, what are some mistakes homeowners or buyers make when choosing a home inspector?
Okay. All right. So I think most probably the number one mistake would be hiring the cheapest guy in town. Um, I say this knowing that at one time I was,
Yeah,
and I still got those jobs, but I stand here telling you I was not the right guy for the job. There were better people out there to do that job than me. I know I did a good job. I was new and I wasn't as experienced. And it's really hard for me to say this to people because I don't want to discourage the new people. I
yeah,
want you to get out there and I want you to get work, any way that you can. But it's like it's this thing where I learned along the way that we are valuable. What we do is valuable, and we shouldn't be devaluing it just to get work. I think I did that, and I think a lot of new guys do that. But hiring the cheapest guy in town, uh, it's probably not a good idea because it may not be the best quality. I'm very proud of what I can do. I am very busy because of it, and so because of that, I raise my prices due to demand. That means uh, it can be if I lowered them, I'd get every job in town. Nobody could ever get me high. It'd be hard for a lot of people to get me in the door.
yeah,
But I raised it because that's what you do because I was doing a good job and I was in demand. And so somebody that's not the cheapest, you can probably say, oh, okay, well they're probably better, and it's probably true. They've probably been around longer. They're probably more experienced. Also, uh, I think availability. I get a lot of people that look, I get it. Like, especially if you're buying a used house, a real estate transaction is a very time sensitive situation. So we have to respect that. Sometimes they have 5, 7, 10 days to make this decision.
yes,
And so hiring the first person available seems like it would be a really good idea, but it can also be a very costly idea because if somebody is available right away, they may not be in very high demand. And so while it's that's another one of those touchy subjects because I got guys that work for me. They haven't been around as long as me, but they've been trained by me. They're very good. They've got a lot more availability than I do. I mean, just because you can get somebody to do it, like you want them as fast as possible. And if they tell you tomorrow, then that sounds enticing, right? And it could be. And that doesn't necessarily mean they're bad just because they have availability tomorrow. Um, but I think like those two things kind of go hand in hand, right? If you're cheap and you're quick, you're probably not very good, right? If you can get there very fast and you're cheap, you're probably not very good. If you can get there very fast and your prices are really high, well, that probably means that people aren't hiring you because your price is a little bit high. So that could be an indication that you're pretty good. I think all in all, really, communication with the company. I about a year ago, I stopped answering my phones. I answered my phones until about a year ago myself. Okay. And I think this is a really good idea for people to do that. I did it too long. My wife answers my phones now. She handles my scheduling and answers my phones. She does a fantastic job at it. Um, uh, but I mean, like, I did it for a long time, right? And so when people wanted to call, when they called somebody, to see about what prices were. They got me. I was the guy that was going to do the job. I was the guy that was telling them about the work I was going to do, and that communication between me and them, I think, really lended itself to me landing a lot of jobs. So I think like communication is a really big deal. If I think if you can't communicate with your inspector, then maybe it's not the inspector for you. And so now my wife answers the phones, right? If they want to talk to me or the inspector, they can. We're available. They can reach us. But honestly, she can answer all of their questions very timely and getting. I think that's another thing, right? Um, if you are looking for someone to inspect your house, how quickly they respond. how well they know the answers to your questions. When we're answering phones all day and telling people what we do and how we do it and what time frame we get it done in, if we can answer those questions right away, that leads you to know that we do it a lot, which means we got a lot of experience. And so I
Yeah,
think those are all indicators as well.
great. For somebody that is starting a home inspection business today, what would you say will be a good initial investment as far as the must-have tools or software when starting the business? What would you say would be a good number?
First of all, I'd say don't. Just kidding. Just kidding. I encourage people to do it. I think sometimes I put out a lot of social media videos, and I think there's a lot of people that sometimes see the funny side or the lighthearted side and think that number one, that it would be easy and fun and all that stuff. And so I think some people just like don't really understand the difficulty and everything that we have to deal with in terms of like these people that are buying these houses and their emotions behind it. So yeah, what investments? I mean, I think it's actually a lot larger investment than people think. At least like in Texas, the training was a couple grand. I think it might have been about $3,000, right? And then I had to pay for the exam and licensing, all that stuff. I mean, so we're talking about, I don't know, somewhere maybe 3,000 to 3,500 range, and that's before I've done anything.
Yeah,
Now I'm a home inspector. What do I do? Well, I mean, you got to get clothes. You got to get software. You got to look professional. You got to get a DBA. You got to, kind of, but then advertising, right? You got to put money in advertising. You're not gonna be successful. But I think like there's some tools out there that we use that some people think are optional, and they're not. I don't, in my opinion, they're not. And I think the first one on the list would be a thermal imaging camera. This has been kind of one of those things that it came up several years ago in home inspection. It's been realized that it is very, very useful for us. We can literally use it to find things that we would not see otherwise. It's they've come down significantly in price. You can get one pretty affordably now, but there for a long time they were a little bit higher, and especially if you wanted a nicer one. And so people would like either charge for the service or they would avoid doing it because they didn't want the expense. I just don't think that's optional now. I
yeah,
really don't. And I think but the only other thing I throw in there with it is a moisture meter, because people get confused thinking that when we're doing inspections, we use a thermal camera to detect moisture. And the truth is, it only tells us temperature. And
mm,
although we can see something that's wet with it, all we're really seeing is something that's cold. And so we have to have a moisture meter to then go and verify what we find to make sure that it is in fact wet and not just cold. And so accuracy of our findings is huge. And so those things. I think the only other thing I would throw in there is like software. There's a lot of software options out there, and you just got to find the right one that fits your needs, because that's going to be an expensive thing to purchase or to get started.
so would you say like 10 grand kind of
10 minimum.
initial, 10 minimum initial capital?
Cost me about 10, but that was almost 10 years ago, so I feel like it's got to be more. You know,
Okay.
some things have gone up, some things have gone down, um, and that doesn't include any marketing. That was
Yeah,
just
yeah.
like what it took
For
to kind of get boots on the ground and say I could do an inspection. Okay, I got all my
yeah,
tools. I got a shirt with my logo on it. I got, you know, I got software. I got a camera, whatever it is that you need.
yeah. For somebody starting today, trying to do what you did for those 10 years, can you give us your best advice?
Don't. Yeah, kind of. I kind of go back to what I said a little bit earlier, though. If I tell anybody anything, it's like, hey, if you aspire to do this as a job and you want to do well at it, go work for another home inspection company. You want to break off and go do your own thing later, that's fine. But work for another home inspection company, because there's just so much that you don't know.
Yeah. And before we wrap this up, can you tell us where can people find you online, how they can learn more about you and your business?
I can do that. Yeah. So, first of all, our website, www.texasedgeinspect.com. But I'm also all over social media. Instagram, I'm at texas.edge.inspect. You can also find me on TikTok, the same, texas.edge.inspect. Pretty sure if you type Texas Edge in just about anything, you're going to pull me up. But Facebook, I have a weird handle because I did it a long time ago. It was like TX HM Inspect or something like that, like Tex Home Inspect, something like that. But I'm pretty easy to find. Same on YouTube. If you type Texas Edge, you're going to find me, but Texas.Edge Inspect is the handle. But also, if you'd like to watch some of my longer format content, I recently was brought on to the Build Show. That's what this is. And so you can
Oh,
go to the Build Show Network, and they publish all of my YouTube videos over there as well. The Build Show is a prominent construction, high performance construction company based out of Austin, but they have contributors all throughout the nation. And I am the only home inspector on the team. So I am representing the home inspection industry on the buildshownetwork.com. So you can find me there too.
that's awesome. Thank you so much for taking the time to share your business journey. All the links will be in the description, guys, for anybody who wants to follow Texas Edge. We'll put all the links in the description. Again, we appreciate your time and thank you so much.
I got to take 1 minute though. Like I got to throw this out there, right? Because like I'm not just
Yeah,
like I'm not like I'm also very much a user of your product. So I mean, like the MyShoeCovers brand is phenomenal as far as I'm concerned, and so I just want to go out there and say thank you for your product. I use it literally every day. I love your products, and so I just feel like I have to say that because I'm not just here to talk about me. I want to also talk about what's behind you. All that stuff back there is really awesome for my industry, and I'm certain for anybody that is in any type of customer service industry where you have to wear shoe covers or put down some type of mat to protect countertops or something like that. You guys are the best in the business. They're great.
thank you so much for your support. We appreciate everything. Thank you.
Yes, sir.